Most likely you use or have used its Windows operating system. The giant of the most used operating system in the world, designed by the prestigious company Microsoft, with one of its founders and designers, Bill Gates. Being currently one of the richest men in the world, his company valued at over $1.9 trillion in 2022, today here in the history of success we present to you, a story that with each failure approached an ever greater success. The history of Microsoft. 1975, when it was founded by Bill Gates and Paul Allen in Albuquerque. Its best-selling products today are Windows and the Microsoft Office suite. In 1980, Microsoft formed an important partnership with IBM that allowed Microsoft's operating system to be bundled with IBM computers, paying Microsoft royalties on each sale. In 1985, IBM asked Microsoft to make a new operating system for its computers called OS/2. Microsoft made the operating system, but continued to sell its own version in direct competition with OS/2. Microsoft's version eclipsed OS/2 in terms of sales. When Microsoft released its versions of Windows in the 1990s, 1976 it became a registered trademark. The company's first international office was founded on November 1, 1978 in Japan, called ASCII Microsoft, now called Microsoft Japan. On January 1, 1979 the company moved from Albuquerque to Bellevue, Washington. Steve Ballmer opened the company's headquarters on June 11, 1980, he would later replace Gates as CEO. The company was restructured on June 25, 1981 to become a company incorporated in the state of Washington, hence changed its name to Microsoft Incorporated. As part of the restructuring, Bill Gates became president of the company and Paul Allen became executive vice president. The company's first operating system it released to the public was a variant of Unix in the 1980s. Acquired from AT&T through a distribution license, Microsoft dubbed it Xenix, and leased Santa Cruz operation to port its operating system to major platforms. On this Unix variant came the first version of Microsoft's word processor, Microsoft Word. However, Xenix was never sold to end users directly, although it was licensed as much OEM software for sale. But by the mid-1980s Microsoft had exited the Unix business entirely. Disk operating system was the operating system that brought the company its real success. On August 12, 1981, after unsuccessful negotiations with Digital Research, IBM awarded a contract to Microsoft to provide a version of the CP/M operating system, which was chosen to be used on IBM's next personal computer. 1985 Microsoft released its first final version of Microsoft Windows, originally a graphical extension of its MS-DOS operating system. In August, Microsoft and IBM jointly developed a different operating system called OS/2. OS/2 was marketed in connection with new hardware designed by IBM. That said, earlier in the beginning, Microsoft Works, an integrated office program in which the typical functions of a word processor, spreadsheet, database system and other office applications were integrated, was released in its first version as an application for the Apple Macintosh in late 1986. In 1989, Microsoft released one of its most important products, Microsoft Office. Distinct from Microsoft Works, Microsoft Office was a suite of separate Office products, such as Word, Excel and others. While Microsoft Word and Microsoft Office were developed internally, Microsoft continued its product repositioning with other companies. Some people, especially developers who had ignored Windows and concentrated on OS/2, were shocked, accusing Microsoft of cheating them. This OS/2 conversion was often referred to in the industry as a big phony or fake. In the following years, OS/2's popularity fell, and Windows gradually became the favored PC platform, thus dominating the corporate market. During the transition from MS-DOS to Windows, the success of Microsoft Office allowed the company to gain ground on its software competitors, such as WordPerfect. Eventually, Microsoft Office became the dominant suite in the market, with a much larger stock market than its competitors. Windows 3.1 was accompanied by the first TV promotional campaign. The operating system sold some 3 million copies in its first 2 months on the market. In 1993, Windows became the most widespread graphical user interface operating system in the world. Fortune magazine named Microsoft the most innovative company in the United States in 1993. This year was also marked by the end of Microsoft's 5-year copyright infringement case against Apple. In the end, it was decided in Microsoft's favor, but Microsoft had to release Windows for Workgroups 3.11, a new version of the consumer line of Windows, and Windows NT 3.1. In 1993, the first encyclopedia design for later was introduced. The Microsoft Home brand, a new multimedia applications for Windows 3.x. Microsoft changed its slogan in 1994 to "Where do you want to go today?" as part of a $100 million advertising attempt to appeal to the not-so-savvy user. By 1995, Microsoft released Windows 95, a new version of its flagship operating system, with a new graphical interface that included the famous Start button. Millions of copies were sold in the first 4 days after its release. Windows 95. In 1995, the Chinese government chose Windows as that country's operating system. 1998 was significant for Microsoft's history, with Bill Gates appointing Steve Ballmer as Microsoft's president, but remaining as chairman. The company released an update to its client version of Windows, Windows 98. Microsoft created a headquarters in India, which became the company's second largest after the United States. On February 17, 2000, Microsoft released an update to its commercial line of software with Windows 2000, which some considered a significant improvement over previous versions. On June 15, 2000, the company also released a new version of its portable operating system, Windows Mobile. The main change was the new APIS programming of the software. In the following years, the company obtained an exponential growth, launching different operating systems, among which Windows 2000, Windows XP, Windows Vista, Windows 7 and Windows 10 stand out. Currently, Windows occupies 57.8% of the market share, being the most popular and used operating system for computers in the world. On the other hand, its market capitalization reaches $1.58 trillion, being one of the largest in the market behind Apple. Microsoft today. Microsoft has managed to make a 180-degree turn to its business model, when in 2012 they launched their Surface range of products that continues to grow exponentially to this day. Currently, the popular company of the little window. It continues to expand its horizon with the purpose of maintaining the privileged place it holds. Although the main founders of Microsoft are now retired, their story and how they managed to position the company on a global scale and impact millions of people will continue to be an obligatory reference and a great example for future generations. What is clear is that Microsoft continues with its initial premise of improving people's lives through technology. This was the Microsoft story, presented by the Success Story. Thank you very much for making it to the end of this video.